wonderfully and remarkably, we are at the end of John's Gospel. It's been a 2-year journey, but here we are, John chapter 21, verse 20 to 25, Jesus and the beloved apostle. So, previously, Peter and Jesus had talked about what Peter had done, his denial. Jesus had restored him after he repented, and now the back of that conversation, Peter turned and saw the disciple who Jesus loved following them. That's John, the one who also had leaned back against him during the supper and had said, "Lord, who is it that is going to betray you?" When Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "Lord, what about this man?" Jesus said to him, "If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me." So the saying spread abroad amongst the brothers that this disciple was not to die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he was not to die, but, "If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you?" This is the disciple who is bearing witness about these things and who has written these things, and we know that his testimony is true. Now there are many other things that Jesus did. Were every one of them to be written, I suppose that the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. So Peter here, having been restored, now begins to get a bit inquisitive, a little bit naughty, you might say, asking Jesus about John and what's going to happen to him. And Jesus just puts him back in his box. What is that to you? You don't need to worry about other people's business. Focus on what I have for you, Jesus is saying. What is that to you? If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me. And so each one of us in our lives, you must be not overly concerned and engrossed in other people's lives and their sin, or what's going to happen to them, what's happened, or the gossip that's going around. Rather, we should be focusing on what Jesus has called us to. You follow me. Are you following Jesus, or are you passionate about the latest gossip and this church leader and that situation, that person's sin? We have enough of our own sin to deal with. So if you are busy focused on other people's lives and the details of their lives and their sin, come back and follow Jesus. And then John rounds up. He says, this is the disciple who is bearing witness. He saw this all himself. John, that great apostle, saw everything himself. He's writing it down, and this is his testimony. It says we there, so maybe he wrote this in the presence of some of the church in Ephesus or some other leaders in the church, but he declares it all from his own experience. John the apostle saying, all of this happened, I can attest to this. And there are even more things that he could have written about. Were every one of them to be written, the whole world itself would not contain the books that could be written. And maybe today the world is full of books. You and I, our lives are like books to the world. People may never read the Bible themselves, but they may read our lives. Let your life be a book about Jesus to those around you. Would it be a testimony to the goodness and the grace of God to your generation? So I hope that you have enjoyed the Gospel of John devotionals over the last few years. Do feel free to share these videos, listen to them again, and by all means go back and read the Gospel yourself. Next up, we're going to look at the book of Acts, which is how the early church got on after Jesus had ascended. What it looked like, what did they do? There's much detail in the Gospels about Jesus and on what was going to come, the Spirit, and then the epistles look back, but the book of Acts is actually what happened. How did it start? How did the early church get born? How did it all happen? So if you've been enjoying these videos, feel free to hang around for, devotionals looking at the book of Acts. Amen.